I'm Davia Chambers and this is Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're in Mt Irvine at the residence of Annette Knott. This place has quite a bit of history. It was designed and landscaped by Annette's late husband, David. David moved to Tobago from England 55 years ago. He'd studied art but worked on this island as a chartered surveyor. But as a pre-retirement activity, he began to paint. David passed on exactly 1 year ago, but Annette says his love for Tobago and his memory lives on in just about every aspect of this place. His art, the pottery, the landscaping, and the new 3-bedroom villa he built, which means today we're going to show you 2 places instead of 1. But first, let's tell you what's happening in our stories this week. A breakdown of what Tobago got in the national budget, crafting a strategy for the agriculture sector on this island, and a photo contest that inspires our young people.
CIRT Tobago, ready to provide your community with the highest degree of professional services in emergency response. Contact CIRT Mariah at 660-0065 or CIRT Speyside at 660-6096. CIRT 24-hour services, emergencies, medical or other. CIRT Pro, the new face of emergency management.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for joining us at Annette Knott's residence in Mt Irvine. Here you'll see many oil paintings which were done by Annette's late husband, David. Now, Annette is not an artist, but she's involved in sports on the island. First as a hockey player and a national coach. She was also appointed chef de mission to various games, including the 2012 Olympics. Such a hectic lifestyle requires times of rest and relaxation. So this atmosphere with the sea, the jacuzzi and the pool is perfect for relaxing. But let's turn our attention to an issue that has been dominating the headlines. The national budget was presented under the theme, Empowering Our People Through Sustained Economic Growth and Security. Now, earlier this year, the Tobago House of Assembly made a case for close to $6 billion to run this island's affairs and to fund its development projects. So what exactly did Tobago get from the central government's $64.6 billion budget? Kishon Wilson has the details.
$2.6 billion. That's the amount that has been allocated to the Assembly in the 2014-2015 budget presentation. Although the Secretary of Finance and Enterprise Development had requested nearly $6 billion to cover this island's development and recurrent expenses, this means that once again the Assembly's allocation didn't exceed the 4.03 legal minimum it usually receives. Although on the surface of it, Tobago's allocation is much more because it includes monies for central government projects on the island.
For fiscal 2015, the budgetary allocation for the Tobago House of Assembly is $2,609 million, of which $2,202 million will be for recurrent expenditure, $384 million for capital expenditure, and $23 million for the unemployment relief program. Furthermore, under the various other heads of expenditure, Tobago will receive an additional amount. In total, therefore, Tobago will receive $3.7 billion, or the equivalent of 5.7% of the national budget.
And as the THA continues to press its case for a special security plan for Tobago, the Minister of Finance announced that construction will begin on the Old Grange and Roxburgh police stations. He also promised
an immediate project to broaden and deepen the recreational choices of visitors to Tobago and to provide much-needed amenities for fisher folk as well as boat owners, including power and sail yachts in Tobago and in Trinidad, will be the establishment through a public-private partnership of a world-class marina at Pretty True Lagoon, located within the Tobago plantation site at Lowlands.
Other encouraging news for the tourism sector in Tobago include
the government will now expand the Trinidad and Tobago Hotel and Guest Room Stock Upgrade Incentive Program. We envisage that this program will lead to the upgrade and refurbishment of guest houses and hotels of between 8 to 100 rooms. A reimbursement of 25% of the cost of the upgrade works per guest room is being provided, with a maximum reimbursement of $12,000 per room for properties located in Trinidad and $15,000 per room for properties located in Tobago.
Minister Hawaii says that he has agreed to meet with the THA after this presentation to address any issues that may arise during the next fiscal year. I'm Keishon Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
And the man charged with coming back to the Tobagonian people to tell them how that money will be spent has already made it clear that he's unhappy with the allocation. Omadara Mills picks up that story.
According to the Secretary of Finance and Enterprise Development, Joel Jack, Tobagonians must understand what the Tobago House of Assembly will actually receive for its entire operations on the island.
The funding to Tobago in this year's budget is $2.6 billion. And out of that, we have $384 million for capital expenditure. We were $1.1 billion short in terms of funding coming directly to Tobago.
What this means is that several areas such as the Cove Eco-Industrial and Business Park, housing, tertiary education, the island's security and Tobago's tourism sector have been underfunded.
The very important question about the marina, you would be mindful of the concerns of the Assembly with the Minister's statement about consultation and meeting with the Assembly, and for us to have this item in the budget coming as a surprise, as a proverbial thief in the night. And, you know, we were surprised by it, and it's the first time as an administration we're hearing about it.
Despite the shortfalls of funds, there are plans to utilize special financing arrangements.
The Minister of Finance is on record saying that he supports the Assembly in using the public-private partnership modalities in advancing our development program and our development program agenda, and the House of Assembly will be moving in that direction.
Revision will have to be made to the projects each division had hoped to pursue during this new fiscal year. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
We touched on but didn't go into the details of the new incentives announced by the government for the tourism sector. The finance minister specifically pointed out what he sees as the Tobago benefits, but the president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association isn't so happy. He feels that, once again, enough attention isn't being paid to the industry here in Tobago. Caroline Wallace reports.
Disappointment. That's how the president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Chris James, described his feelings towards the 2014-2015 budget presentation. He says it's disheartening that the government still don't appreciate the fact that tourism is the fastest growing industry in the world, and more so it's essential to this island.
Without having any figures, it's difficult because it's rated so low in importance. We're not even one of the listed items that he calls out. He calls out education, he calls out health, he calls out agriculture, but we never get called out in that first list. So we don't even know the full amount until we get the further documents. So that's a disappointment because we believe it's a benefit to the island.
What he is pleased with, though, is the expansion of the Trinidad and Tobago Hotel and Guest Room Stock Incentive Program, especially the reimbursement of 20% of the cost of the upgrade work, up to a maximum of $75,000 for the smaller tourism-related businesses.
But the new thing that was announced there is also the 1 to 5 room enhancement, similar kind of process, but for that 1 to 5. The other one is for 8 and above, or 5 and above, to 50. So we're pleased about those. We just want them to roll out more quickly. We're also pleased in the announcement of the marina. That's a thing again. I think the first paper we did on that was 15 years ago. We're very pleased that has been reignited because that is an industry in itself. It can add so much in terms of jobs, quality skilled jobs, but also just another alternative, another way of getting here. So we're very pleased that that's been rekindled. We just hope it's a promise that's kept.
So what exactly would have made the industry happy?
It's difficult because it's chicken and egg. We need to get the investment in the rooms to really have a world-class product. So you're talking of close to $100 million for a 5-star 200-bedroom hotel resort. That's the kind of cost you're talking. That's the kind of investment we need to encourage. For marketing, I can quote Sandals, for instance, spends $80 million a year just on their brand hotels. So you will see that we don't get close to that.
But Mr. James is promising to continue pushing with the hope to make Destination Tobago a year-round sustainable tourism industry. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking a break, but stay with us for a look at plans for the agricultural sector in Tobago. Thanks for staying with us. This is Let's Talk Tobago, and right now we're at Knotty's Villa in Mt Irvine. It's the second place we promised to show you at the beginning of the show. This villa sits on the 4-acre compound of the Knott's residence. It's a spacious, contemporary 3-bedroom villa within walking distance from the beach. It's outfitted with an infinity pool right next to the porch area. But what's more, this pool overlooks the sea. It's experiences like this Canadian Nadine Sikora was exposed to during her 60 days in paradise as Tobago's island connoisseur. As you might recall, Nadine won a trip to spend 2 months here exploring the wonders of this island. But part of that package entailed her telling the world about Tobago. This is how that turned out.
Canadian Nadine Sikora has completed her 60 days in paradise as Tobago's island connoisseur. Miss Sikora spent a 2-month-long period experiencing the wonders of Tobago. The Vancouver native says that although there's a lot to see and do in Tobago, the outdoor activities are part of her most memorable experiences.
Diving in Speyside, I think you guys have some beautiful dive sites all around the island, not just in Speyside, but Kerouac and Flying Reef. So any divers, for sure. I think hiking through the rainforest, your bird species, there's so many different varieties and so many that are just native to Tobago. Riding with horses, this is one of my favorites, riding with horses in Buku and seeing a giant eagle ray come up right in between us while we were in the water. I think that's just so incredible and memorable.
Tobago's island connoisseur didn't just spend her 60 days on island experiencing the magic of Tobago. She also had to tell the world all about it through social media.
I've been posting a bunch of stuff on my Facebook. My Facebook has over 17,000 different followers. And then I have my Instagram, which has 11,300. I have my Google Plus, which has 96,000 people following, and then I have my YouTube channel, which is where my videos go, and that has 167,000 followers. So all of them are getting a chance to see all the different things there is to do and see in Tobago and how beautiful it is here.
The Division of Tourism and Transportation's marketing manager, Avian Hercules, says that the Island Connoisseur program is an initiative to promote the destination.
This is how the Island Connoisseur program is built on. It's built on a word-of-mouth referral system where we get somebody who was not experienced Tobago, was not experienced perhaps even the Caribbean, and essentially coming here and learning all the things that make us different and unique and special, and selling that and promoting that through their own eyes.
Nadine was hosted by 18 bed and breakfast and hotel properties and more than 10 restaurants on the island. From the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I'm Julia James reporting for Let's Talk Tobago.
Now, as important as the tourism sector is to Tobago, this island wants to diversify, to make agriculture a viable industry here. But let's be honest, when you're buying food, at the back of your mind you want the best without breaking the bank. Those in the agricultural sector understand this, but they also know that market prices aren't determined solely by the farmer or the fisherman. There are others in this chain who determine cost and quality, and they all came together to share their views on how the sector could be improved.
Tobago is seeking to generate food in an eco-friendly environment so that the island can achieve food security. Once Tobago gets to this point, it's hoped that businesses' surplus will allow them to venture into exporting of the island's products. And in order to do this, One suggestion is to implement certain standards which farmers and agro-processors have to comply with.
Stamp, it's like a stamp of approval that you have to earn, and not necessarily because you put things in a plastic bag, tie it at the head, and the plastic bag not even food grade, that you can get a stamp says Tobago. It has to have a specific quality.
But before any of that happens, stakeholders are clamoring for a stronger local market for the local products.
I think the division needs to play a major part in making the policies where we would have our supermarkets and our hotels purchase foods directly from our producers here in Tobago before going to outside sources.
And farmers too believe they need more assistance so that the sector can be sustainable.
Within the Tobago scenario, from time to time you heard the speech being said that the remark, Tobago farmers are not consistent. And if you look at goal number 1, if we get the support directly from the division, it will help more the farmers to be more consistent.
The recommendations given by the farmers, agro-processors and the supermarket owners are part of the consultations that the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment is having to sensitize those in the industry about its strategic plan for the sector.
The 4 main pillars I want you to think about. 1, niche marketing. 2, environmental sustainability is going to be produced in an environmentally sustainable manner. Not so? 3, we're going to talk about the institutional support. The sector, the agriculture division is going to provide that type of support for us. Right? And it's going to be done, we said, towards what? Food security.
This consultation is part of the division's plans, which are in line with the THA's Strategic Economic Development Plan for the 2014 to 2017 period. I'm Umadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
But they weren't the only ones invited to share their thoughts. The residents of Black Rock got their chance to voice their concerns. Only this time, the issue surrounded chikungunya. The Caribbean Public Health Agency says the region must be prepared for the full impact of the mosquito-borne virus. There are about 80 confirmed and suspected cases in Trinidad, with 1 in Tobago. So to better inform and protect our people, public health officials are going into our communities.
Tobago confirmed its first case of the chikungunya virus after 8 months of it being in the Caribbean. Residents are apprehensive. As of such, the Division of Health and Social Services is taking action. They have already started a major cleanup exercise around the island and are continuing with their outreach program for the public. This time, they were in Black Rock.
From the term chikungunya, which means bent out of shape, I'm sure you all can guess what the symptoms might be. The 2 main symptoms are fever and severe joint pains, more so than dengue.
And the concerns my villagers began pouring in.
It just came on, and I treated myself with fluid and paracetamol, and it went away in about a matter of 4 days. But so many persons in Black Rock have been affected.
I hope that the spraying would not be a one-time thing, because the area in which I live, as a matter of fact, even in my yard, is crab holes, and crab holes is a haven for breeding mosquitoes.
You can't have breedings in crab holes. It may not be Aedes, because as we said before, we have about 30 species of mosquitoes. It may not be Aedes aegypti, but you may have mosquitoes.
But the division continues to stress that prevention is always the best form of protection.
Persons who don't have chikungunya, you all need to take precautions. You all need to use insect repellent. You all need to prevent mosquito breeding sites. It may help for your elderly at home, and for your young children, your babies, to put them under bed nets as well.
The best way to deal with the mosquito is what we call eliminate the source.
This meeting is just one of the many by the division, as it attempts to keep Tobago chikungunya free. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take another break, but coming up, a look at the creativity of young Tobagonians who got behind their cameras to capture the world as they see it. Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us at Nutty's Villa in Mt Irvine. We're just on the porch of one of the bedrooms. This villa houses up to 6 persons, but you won't feel crowded here as the rooms are very spacious and equipped with the latest technology. And speaking of technology, everyone has a camera of some sort, whether it's a DSLR, a simple point and shoot, or the one on your phone. The rise and easy availability of this technology has provided more reasons for people to capture the world around them. In Tobago, our young people are being encouraged to do the same under themes such as healthy lifestyles and youth, contemporary issues, and black and white. They even experimented with video.
When you hear of a photography contest, you would not readily think of a short video. But that's the additional category to this year's Dia's Photo Contest. And what you are seeing is a snippet of the 2-minute video which placed second. This category dealt with the theme of anti-bullying, a serious social issue taking place in our nation's schools and even through social media. The creator of this video is 24-year-old Rolf Celestine, who says that the video was inspired by his own experience.
The video name is Regret. The concept basically, and it's a real life story. It basically came from my story, which I stabbed a guy in primary school, and I drew the concept from that to see right after you perform your actions of bullying and to see how far it could go, then you would regret what you do right after.
Alina Williams, with her video Dear Journal, secured the first place in this category. The still image categories saw youths picturing contemporary issues on the island, as well as Tobago's natural beauty. The traditional black and white section was not left out, and Naomi Ningsi Kwan's fascination with our senior citizens allowed her to be the winner of this category.
I've always been fascinated by them. I didn't want to take a photo that would be their face to say this is a older person. Like, I just want to show their hand because the hand, it really tells a lot.
Here's what one of the 3 judges thought about the 51 submissions.
The pieces that the competitors would have submitted were very interesting. There is definitely a need for this sort of thing to happen in the future.
But this is not just a competition made up by the Department of Youth Affairs. It actually ties in with a national policy.
Pillar 5 of the 7 interconnected pillars, which speaks to young people being multi-talented, innovative, creative. So that is exactly where this program, based on national youth policy, that is where that gave birth to this program.
2012 was the first time the Department of Youth Affairs held this photo contest. It is hoped that it will become an annual competition. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And here's another competition you might be interested in. This one is yet to happen, so save the date. It's next month, October 19th to be exact.
With a signature cutting of the dasheen, the annual Tobago Blue Food Festival is officially launched. The Tobago Blue Food Festival is an exhibit of local cuisine at the Bloody Bay Recreation Grounds that involves the community efforts of Palatuvier, Bloody Bay and Lansomie. Blue food is sumptuously prepared provisions. These indigenous food crops include a wide variety of local ground provisions such as dasheen, yam, tanya, eddos, sweet potatoes, and cassava root, also known as manioc. At the annual Tobago Blue Food Festival, vendors compete in the various categories that show their blue food creations of appetizers, entrees, desserts, and liqueurs. This year, the festival celebrates 16 years and will feature entertainers, Benjai and Blacks, alongside the Tobago heritage performers and the Palatuvier dancers. The Tobago Blue Food Festival takes place on October 19th at Bloody Bay Recreation Grounds. It starts at 10 a.m. From the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I'm Julia James reporting for Let's Talk Tobago.
This island will also be in focus at the Tobago edition of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. Tobagonians will be able to see themselves when the screenings begin in the next 2 weeks from September 22nd to 30th at Movietown. Omadara Mills spoke to one of the filmmakers, and she tells us what inspired the 2 Tobago-based pieces that made the final cuts.
This is Princess Julie getting a rinse off after her morning exercise on the beach. She's a 6-year-old mare who's a star of one of the short documentary films being shown at the Tobago leg of this country's film festival. The film, which is named after the mare, tells of her inspiring journey after she got into a horrific accident along Buku's coastline.
She fell from the cliff where they sleep at night, 4 stories high, and she was down there for about 8 hours till we could get the crane to come pick her up.
The story on Princess Julie's rescue and her unbelievable recovery was done by 24-year-old Daniel Brimacom, who's a volunteer at the Healing with Horses Foundation in Buku. It's Daniel's first entry into any film festival, and he says that the acceptance of his film motivates him to do more.
I thought it was pretty cool. It gives me confidence that my future project ideas may have a chance at competition as well.
The film's first showing will be on September 28th, exactly 1 year after Princess Julie's accident. Now another local film called The Glass Bottom Boat by Tobagonian Kyle Walcott will also be in the Tobago lineup, and that one is about a woman falling in love with Tobago and then some more. The first screening of this short documentary will take place on the 27th of September at 8 p.m. The Director of Community Development at the TTFF, Melvina Hazard, says it's important for persons to support filmmakers on the island so that the industry can grow.
We really hope that people here will come out to support the festival, and especially to support the 2 films that are based in Tobago, to support these 2 young and emerging filmmakers, and also try to support and encourage young Tobagonians who want to be interested in film and want to get into film. And the only way, or the most visible way you can demonstrate that, is actually showing an interest in works that's produced locally.
In addition to the 2 local films, patrons will also get the chance to see other films from the Caribbean region and around the world. It's a chance to see Art Connect, Earl Lovelace, a writer in his place, 200 Carters, The Lunchbox, and The Legends of Scar. Since the events start on the island, the THA has facilitated community screenings and film production workshops in collaboration with the Film Festivals Committee. I'm Umadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have your say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, our viewers. As we told you earlier, the Tobago House of Assembly got just about $2.6 billion, less than half of the amount they'd asked for to run the affairs of this island. So today we're asking, how do you feel about the measures announced in this year's budget? This is what you said.
My main concern is just the foodstuff section of the budget.
I think the $500 will benefit them if it is managed properly. Yeah. And of course the NIS for the self-employed, yeah, and of course the old age pension.
I'm just concerned sometimes we don't have checks and balances with spending government funds.
The only thing I have to say about the budget right now is this pregnancy grant. I find it makes no sense.
I think this budget was good. The money was the most money that I saw spent on education, and I think that was really good.
My issue is that to me, the government is encouraging the spouse because it didn't take the lady alone to make the child. And you're giving the man bad habits.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Remember, you can send us your comments or queries on anything you've seen in this program to information@tha.gov.tt, or even visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Davia Chambers, and on behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, have a safe and enjoyable week. And as we go, here's a final look at the residence of Annette Knott, or Nutty's Villa in Mt Irvine.